NIST CSF 2.0 is finally here. After nearly 6 years since the last release, CSF 1.1, one of the foundational pillars of guidance for organizations to better understand, manage, reduce, and communicate cybersecurity risks has gotten its long-awaited update. Experts are calling NIST CSF 2.0 a paradigm shift. So today, we're going to talk about everything NIST CSF 2.0, what it is, why it's important, and what's new in NIST CSF 2.0. We have a bunch of videos about NIST CSF already, including a deep dive into the brand new govern function. So top right corner if you want to check that out. You'll also find a free downloadable NIST CSF 2.0 checklist in the comment and description below, so you can get a head start over everybody else. Let's start with the what. What is NIST CSF? The original version of NIST CSF emerged in response to a 2013 executive order that asked the National Institute for Standards and Technology, NIST, to collaborate with the private sector to design a cybersecurity framework for operators and users of critical infrastructure to help reduce their cyber risk. But very quickly, NIST CSF proved to be a bigger success than NIST could have ever imagined. To quote NIST CSF's lead developer, Sherilyn Pascoe, the CSF was developed for critical infrastructure like the banking and energy industries, but it has proved useful everywhere, from schools and small businesses to local and foreign governments. She's not lying. By 2020 alone, just 6 years after it was released, 50% of US-based organizations were on track to implement NIST CSF, according to research by Gartner. The popularity and adoption of the framework was astonishing. Spurred on by this initial success, NIST started work on CSF 2.0. Since February of 2022, the agency has been hard at work building in the formula that made CSF's debut so successful: public participation. Unlike some frameworks like SOC 2 and ISO 27001, which are built in the dark by private organizations, NIST CSF 1.0 and 2.0 was built in close coordination with experts from across the globe and with extensive community development. All told, NIST CSF 2.0 will have seen contributions from over 4,000 attendees from 100 plus countries, all moving with a unified focus towards a single goal: improve cybersecurity for organizations of all sizes across the world. The importance of this effort by NIST cannot be understated. And here's why. The threat landscape that organizations face today is as dangerous as it's ever been. The first half of this decade particularly has been perilous, to say the least. Record-breaking attacks, the rise of AI, and the proliferation of SaaS has meant that organizations, both big and small, need to stay on their toes at all times. As NIST itself will admit, CSF 2.0 reflects an evolving cybersecurity landscape and is intended to be a living document that is refined and improved over time. How does one achieve this? By tackling criticism of the original CSF head-on. Businesses felt like the original version was a little too vague. Well, CSF 2.0 offers extra guidance on implementation, covering specific sectors and use cases. Some people felt that NIST didn't take into consideration the international audience that now uses CSF. Well, NIST released a whole blog about CSF 2.0's work in that specific area, featuring the representatives from government and industries from India, France, Norway, Ivory Coast, and Canada, as they tackled issues including 5G security, post-quantum cryptography, digital identity, artificial intelligence, and so much more. So, with context set, let's dive in. What's new in NIST CSF 2.0? The first big change sets the tone for the entire framework: the title. The original title of CSF was Framework for Improving Critical Infrastructure Cybersecurity. This is in line with what we know. The original purpose of CSF was to protect critical infrastructure. However, like we've also mentioned, CSF's popularity has meant that it is used by a range of organizations, governments, and academia. So, the new title is simply Cybersecurity Framework. This change in scope isn't just skin deep. Throughout the entire document, there is an emphasis on making CSF implementation as accessible as possible. While references to critical infrastructure are maintained as examples, the text in the actual framework has been expanded for a much broader applicability. Categories and subcategories in the CSF code have received similar treatment, along with informative references. The second big change is a brand new function: govern. Functions, in essence, are the pillars for a successful cybersecurity program. NIST CSF veterans know of the 5: identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. NIST CSF 2.0 introduces govern as the 6th function to tie the other 5 together, highlighting an increased focus on cybersecurity risk management governance outcomes. Some examples of categories in govern include assessing cybersecurity risks and impacts, establishing the right policies and procedures, and enforcing the required roles and responsibilities an organization needs. Some controls in govern have been pulled from other existing categories, while some are brand new to CSF 2.0. The third change is a product of community feedback, an increased focus on supply chain risk management. NIST built out an RFI for CSF 2.0, and one of the major areas of agreement was that supply chains and third parties are a top risk for organizations. This development isn't technically brand new. Increasing globalization, outsourcing, cloud computing, and the expansion of SaaS have been growing trends for several years. We've known about this. So, CSF 2.0 builds on the work done in 1.1 with regards to supply chain risk management, including introducing some new controls and doubling on some old ones. In fact, nearly 1/3 of the controls in the new govern function deal exclusively with supply chain risk management. The fourth big change also comes from the community, more domestic and international collaboration. Let's start with the domestic front. While CSF is arguably the most popular one, NIST actually maintains several frameworks in relation to cybersecurity, covering a variety of topics, everything from privacy to zero trust architecture to AI risk management. Now, all of these frameworks serve an important role and therefore need to be independent. That being said, these frameworks do share a relationship with the CSF and its goals, so a clear connection between them would be invaluable to organizations implementing them. On the international front, the original CSF achieved significant popularity in other countries, including Uruguay, Israel, Saudi Arabia, and more. NIST leveraged this international presence, and CSF 2.0 was built in collaboration with participants from over 100 countries. NIST has also continued its collaboration with the ISO, the creator of the 27001 standard, to increase connections between the CSF and ISO's other standards. The last change, but certainly not the least, with over 500 references in the CSF 2.0 RFI, is expanded guidance. A variety of organizations use the CSF, organizations with dramatically different needs and risks. The non-prescriptive nature of the original CSF is one of its greatest strengths, but at the same time, there was a need for more detail. NIST CSF 2.0 acknowledges that while some organizations have benefited from the straightforward, more general descriptions of the framework's key components, others need more detailed information. To that end, CSF has undergone several changes in this update. The original functions have been enhanced for better clarity and relevance. CSF 2.0 also provides in-depth examples of profiles and detailed steps for their creation and use. And there's also more informative references and even a profile template to help organizations achieve the outcomes that are detailed in the core. With all of this said, let's get to the important part. How do you get NIST CSF 2.0 compliant? NIST CSF 2.0 has likely been released by the time you're watching this video. We'll also have several more videos about the framework over the next couple of weeks, so don't forget to subscribe to make sure you're in them. If you'd like to get NIST CSF 2.0 compliant, there's two ways for it to get help. One, there's a free downloadable NIST CSF 2.0 checklist that you can find in the description and comment section below. It's a great way to get started on your cybersecurity journey. And second is compliance automation. Sprinto helps thousands of companies leverage compliance automation across several frameworks like NIST CSF, NIST 853, SOC 2, ISO 27001, and so much more, so that companies can get compliant faster, easier, and more inexpensively. Continuous monitoring via Sprinto's centralized dashboard means that you stay compliant too, all year round, and not just during an art cycle. To know more, visit sprinto.com or book a demo with one of our NIST experts using the link in the description below. And as always, if you have any questions, because NIST CSF 2.0 is a new framework, leave them in the comment section below. We'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you found this video useful, remember to like and subscribe, or better yet, share the video with somebody else that you know would find it useful too.